Hello again, it's Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network, taking you into the garage and talking to the folks to make the race cars go around the racetracks. We are glad you have joined us, and if you like what we're doing on Crew Call, like, share, subscribe, rate, review, all of those things, whatever platform you are enjoying this on, spread the gospel, and we do appreciate it. I'm Steve Post, pit road reporter for Motor Racing Network, joined by 25-time and championship-winning crew chief Todd Gordon. Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm good. Off of a race at my home track and headed to Richmond. Two of my favorites of the year.
I love it. I love it. I'm a Pennsylvanian, but as the crow flew or flies, Pocono, Watkins Glen, right in the middle of it. So I claim both Pocono and Watkins Glen as home tracks. And really fun. We got to a road course, and we were there in 2025.
And SVG won again.
Exactly.
And we should celebrate that.
This is special, what we're seeing.
Hey, his talent level is incredible. And I love the fact, as I walk around the garage, drivers talk about what they need to do in their game. They're not talking about the fact that Trackhouse has a car, that they've done this, or you hear Chase Briscoe at Sonoma. That was as good as that car was as good as his. I just need to work on it.
Yeah.
It's just, we should celebrate what we're seeing. And the fact, I'm going to lay it out there. I said it before we got to it. If you don't like the fact he won by 11 seconds, stay tuned. Because we got this kid named Connor Zilic that might be in the Cup Series soon, and I think that might put a little pressure on him.
I think about this, we're seeing excellence, and here's what I love about our garage right now. There's so much respect for excellence.
Yes.
You see it talking to crew chiefs, talking to drivers. It's like, I absolutely love the respect that there is out there for SVG.
We all have the same parts.
Yes.
We all have the same parts. So, it's incredible to watch what he does. And I, as I said, as I walked around the garage, there's a lot of people talking about what they can do to up their program, and a lot of drivers. The crew chief's talking about drivers that really want to kind of dive into what's going on. And with 5 to 6 road course events in the schedule, it's something you can't just discard and say, back when I first came down here, we had Sonoma and Watkins Glen.
Too.
And you would have drivers that would just take the weekends off. If I keep 4 tires on the asphalt, I'll finish 15th and I'll be fine. Just keep going points racing.
Yeah.
That's not where we're at today.
No.
You have to excel at every point. And we should celebrate the fact that, if Dale Jr. had won Daytona, both Daytonas and both Talladegas, we would celebrate that.
You're right about that. Yeah,
this guy's doing that.
It's so incredible. I think that you've got Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, whoever it is, quarterbacking, driving that car. I think that team, the pit crew, Stephen Dorn, they've done a good job keeping the ball in Shane's hand as well.
They have, and they've worked with, and Shane's talked about this in the interviews he's done since winning, that they've worked on their program on getting things out of the cars that he's looking for. It's not just kind of bone stock, just let him overcome everything. He's given feedback of where he thinks he can be better, and it's shown. It's shown. His ability to hang on the long run. That's where guys can run with him on the short. We saw that out of McDowell at Chicago. We saw that out of Blaney first stage here. Although I don't know that in either case we got 100% of Shane van Gisbergen in the first stage.
There's the other question too: is what are we? We see it in the final though, and you just have drivers with their tongues hanging out saying, "I'm out of tires."
Yes.
It's crazy.
If I'm Shane van Gisbergen and I know I'm good, why do I show everybody else how good I am so that they work on their stuff?
No doubt.
I actually think he plays a little bit of chess here.
I think he does also. I do want to give an attaboy. Christopher Bell, Adam Stevens. It's been a rough summer. Second place finish.
Pass Busher on the last lap.
Yes, pass Busher on the last lap. I want to see what they do at Richmond. I want to see what they do at Daytona, and we'll see if Christopher Bell is that Final Four driver we had him at 2-3 months ago, just to see if they got their game back, because they've struggled a little bit this summer.
I think he is the piece, and they have. They've struggled with putting the finishes together.
Right. Correct.
I think at times they've had speed, and that's the elusive part. I think this is in a good. But I'm with you. Let's see how Richmond goes this week. Daytona, that's a question mark for everything. But I would expect them to be in playoff contention as we roll forward.
Absolutely. In our attaboy categories, Scott Zipadelli, Corey Heim, Marty Lindley, and Connor Zilic. Although they didn't get to celebrate in Victory Lane, what a weird scene in Victory Lane, a scary scene in Victory Lane.
That one scared me.
That one really did. That was a scary.
Alex was on the call, and I was watching the broadcast down there for the timing, and I saw it, and I'm like beating on Alex, like.
Yeah, Kimmy, I did not see it. I was out doing the second through fifth place finishers, and Kimmy Kuhn, our former colleague with MRN TV, she said, "Did you see it?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Oh my gosh." Yeah, no, because they had it on the screen. So.
I would think that Connor Zilic may not be trying to get up on the roof anymore.
I think so too. Yes, exactly. And Shane in Victory Lane just stepped out of the race car. And
smart guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He has had a broken collarbone before.
Yes, he has. Went out the next week and won 3 races or something like that. Connor told us on the air. So great weekend of racing at Watkins Glen, setting us up for a great weekend at Richmond. And
guy that was leading late.
Yeah.
Part of the controversy. We got his crew chief coming up.
Exactly. Paul Wolfe. Remember last year, Austin Dillon, Joey Logano, the end of the race. Paul Wolfe, crew chief for Team Penske, and Joey Logano. He joins us next.
The NASCAR channel is available now on Tubi. Tell them we got it. 24/7 news, documentaries, with access to the exclusive NASCAR Vault. The NASCAR channel. Always on, always free. Only on Tubi.
Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. Let's do it. Let's go up to Team Penske. Joining us is crew chief for Joey Logano. Paul Wolfe joins us. Hello, Paul. How are you?
Hey, guys. I'm doing well, thanks. Good to be back with you. And, we're just finishing up the summer run here and obviously preparing for the playoffs to start here in a couple weeks. So it's coming at us quick.
Let's talk about this summer run. Recent finishes, 11th, 9th, 14th. You had the crash at Indy, 9th and 14th. August 2025, where are you at, Paul? What are you working on to hone in and get ready to go championship playoff racing?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of been an average run here through the summer. Obviously, a lot of different style tracks, quite a few, road racing events, obviously, which, for us is, we've been okay. We haven't had the speed to really run in the top 5 or contend on those style tracks. But we've continued to try to make our cars a little better on those style tracks, and like I said, we've just been average. And I think as you look at some of the other tracks, obviously Indy, a bit of a heartbreaker there. I felt like we put ourselves in a position to win that one. And then you have the tire failure, which I guess that's just the world we live in these days. I think we're still a little bit trying to understand that one. Which Goodyear is, we've gotten together with Goodyear and, we give those guys our, all our information on our setup and loads and kind of where we were at on some of those things. And then they'll run their tests to help us understand, from what they look at, were we flirting with disaster there at the air pressure we were running, or was this a bad tire or what? I would say my initial thoughts, and obviously I didn't feel like we were playing with fire with where we were at. And speaking with Goodyear, letting them know where we were at, they honestly felt the same way, I think, which is part of the reason why they wanted to dig into it a little bit more and understand, if they run our load case and run it through their, all their testing, what shows up, just so we can be smarter, right? And it's the name of the game right now. Everyone's pushing for every little bit of performance. And although, we try not to get ourselves in those situations, unfortunately, we found ourselves in that at Indy and took away our opportunity to get a second Brickyard trophy. But it's what it is. You try to be smarter from it as we're doing and move forward.
Yeah, I looked at it. I thought you and, really Austin and Joey and even Josh Berry, the three of you kind of stayed out on your own strategy. And I thought put yourself in a great position. You and Austin Cindric both had tire failures. Help the listener listen, back at home, because I don't know that everybody understands. Like, green flag cycles are much harder on a tire than a caution flag cycle. Do you feel like that played into it? Because I think both you and Austin were coming off of green flag cycles, weren't you?
Yes, and you're exactly right. I mean, it for sure makes a difference. I think there was a couple factors in that one, at least speaking for the 22. Yes, one is the air pressure build. Like, when we go to do a wheel force testing or just a Goodyear test, right? You have telemetry on the car. You can understand tire build. So, we've done plenty of what we call installation laps, which would be caution laps, right? When after you come off a pit road under yellow, you go around a couple laps before you go back green. So we'll study the data and understand, okay, in those 2 laps, how much air pressure do we build in all 4 tires? And in that amount of time, I mean, you can build anywhere from 1 to 2 pounds of air pressure, which, doesn't maybe sound like a lot to some people, but when you're working within that last little bit of durability, 2 pounds is a lot of air, as you know, Todd.
Yes, I do.
From your experience, 2 pounds is a lot. So, to your question, yes, it's a way different, from a durability standpoint. You're asking a lot more out of that tire when you come off a pit road and you're right up to speed, right away. Not only that, but coming off a pit road for us in clean air, you're going much faster, which is more load. As you know, we try to run these cars very close to the limiters, right, in the back of the car as low as you can. You pick up a little bit of speed now, what may have been just getting right to the limiter, now you may be riding in that limiter, which is really hard on the tires. And that's typically, sometimes causes those failures when you're in those limiters or you're hitting bumps. When you're in those limiters, that will really damage the tire. So along with that, I was on the driver that run telling him to go as hard as he could, right? Because that was going to be the difference of coming out in first or coming out, the 23 ended up second, right? So you during that pit sequence, you have to get it all from on pit road to the driver getting back up to speed. And to the point, I never thought we were flirting that close to failure that I was okay telling them go hard. Where a lot of times you may tell your driver, hey, give me a couple laps here, let the pressures build up before you go hard. Shame on me for missing it, but I would definitely was not in the mode of thinking we were that close to failure that I needed him to check up.
No shame on you. No shame on you. That's your job. I mean, if it all plays out and it's another one of those pretty trophies you got over your left shoulder there. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you going in depth because that's the stuff I don't think that people really understand all the pieces that impact this. Love how you broke that down. I want to look a little forward. We're going to Richmond, Saturday night race. We haven't night raced there in a while. How do you see that night race kind of changing the way you race at Richmond, or won't it?
Honestly, Todd, with this generation car, I don't feel like we've seen the swings in the handling of the cars and changes from day to night. Is there a little bit? Yes, but I feel like with the older generation cars, you really had to plan for that, and the cars would react a lot differently with changing track conditions, temperature, ambient track temp, all those things. I think you had to be more prepared for and were a bigger factor. To me, the biggest question mark and change this weekend will be the tire, right? We're going to the new tire, which we've run at some other tracks this year. Honestly, it's very close to the option, I guess what we called the option tire last fall that we ran. We had 2 sets of those in the race last fall. So I think that's probably the bigger factor, something to keep in mind as you're working through your final setup adjustments and settings of, how you're going to race the car. Because from what we've seen so far, and we were one of the cars that did the Loudon Goodyear test not too long ago and ran a lot on this tire. So we have a lot of data on that and understanding of tire wear and those types of things. And it'll be significantly more, obviously, than what we've had at the past Richmond races. So even when you talk about Richmond and you look at stage 2 and stage 3, whether guys are 1 stop and 2 stop, and now you throw in this tire that's much more aggressive, more tire wear, I think that's the two-stopper becomes a no-brainer. But with that being said, now your tire budget's pretty well used up, right? I think as the way the race lays out, if you two-stop both of those stages, you're left with one set of tires to play with. Typically, Richmond, the first stage, 70 laps, guys tend to run that out. But now, like I said, you're talking about a tire with much greater fall off. You talk about splitting that stage. Now there's no tires left, right? So you got to think about your qualifiers, right? We typically don't like to use scuffs. I think that's something that'll be in play this weekend. And how many qualifying runs do you really want to do when you potentially have to use that for a race set of tires? So that's also something to think about. Yes, if you blow your first qualifying lap, I think you're going to want to try to take another shot at it. But you also need to keep that in mind. That could affect the outcome of the race if you're needing to use that tire.
I'm telling you, we have all kinds of meetings and everything. Paul, you just made our meetings so much easier. You just made all of our meetings so much easier.
They don't need me this weekend now.
No, we're good to go on this one. We're good to go on this one. When the caution comes out, they're stopping, and they might stop when the green flag is out too. So I don't know. Going to be crazy. Yeah. Just going to be absolutely fast. What are there big picture things? I mean, Daytona's kind of a unique thing, but as you get playoff ready, are there big picture things? Maybe you look at Richmond. You actually talked about doing the tire test at Loudon. Are there big picture things you can work on as well this weekend?
Well, I think the short track stuff's a strength of ours. It's something we've been very good at over the last few years, so we're excited about that. Like you said, we did the Loudon test. Obviously, Loudon's a different racetrack than Richmond, but it's still in that short track grouping. I think, like I said, same tire. So I think there's some things we worked on at Loudon that we're going to play with this weekend to continue to try to be smarter with our short track program. Richmond's been good to us. We've always been a top five. I don't know if we've been a strong threat to win. Obviously, we've put ourselves in position to win, and we were one corner away last fall from getting that. As we all want to look back on what happened that weekend, but we're excited to go to Richmond. You talk about the playoffs. Obviously, it never hurts to go into the playoffs with some momentum. So we look forward to this weekend. And as you know, the Fords are always fast at Daytona. So in my meeting with the guys this morning, I said, hey, we got two great opportunities, strengths of ours coming up these next 2 weeks. No reason we can't go and contend to win either one of these races. And as we build, like I said, some momentum going into the playoffs.
As you stand right now, 7 playoff points. How does that affect your kind of vision of, and I know you're ahead of it to this point, of the first round? We always talked about the first round being base hits and not I did at least. You don't need to win, but being kind of slim on playoff points, does that change anything in the first round?
I don't think it changes our approach. I think you're exactly right with the base hits. We're a strong enough team and company that, obviously it's gotten more and more competitive, but if we go out there and just not make mistakes, right, we typically have enough speed and enough experience to get through this round. I like how the playoffs lay out for us. I really see a good path for us to get to Phoenix as you look at the strengths of some in each round for us. And playoff points, there's not many there, Todd, and we've tried. We've worked to try to build some more there when we can, but it just unfortunately we just haven't done it in the regular season. So, but with that being said, I don't know that it's out of the norm for us to go into the playoffs with few, and it doesn't by no means discourage us from thinking we have a shot at it. So we'll just need to be on our game and limit our mistakes.
Paul, we are right up against the break, and you've given us a lot of time, but you are the first person I've ever heard we like the way the playoffs lay out to get us into the Final Four. That includes Talladega. Do you like that part of it? And I know it's a strength, but do you like that part in the round of 8?
That's a good question. It's a strength of ours, the speedways, but there's so much out of your control there. So I understand the heartache it could be in that round with Talladega, but you go there and you give it your best effort and see what happens. But aside from that, I think there's tracks in each round that really suit what we're capable of.
You might like Vegas a little more than Talladega, maybe. That might be a little bit better option for you. So there we go. Paul, we are grateful for the time. We appreciate the time. Thanks for sharing your insight with us, and we'll look forward to a good weekend up at Richmond.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Good talking, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Paul Wolfe, crew chief for Joey Logano at Team Penske. Stay with us. More Crew Call in just a moment.
3, 2, 1. Start your engine.
The NASCAR channel is streaming now, exclusively on Tubi.
Tell them we got it.
Go deeper into NASCAR with 24/7 news, documentaries, and explore the vault of timeless NASCAR stories and unforgettable races. From crushing defeats to the thrill of victory.
Go, baby!
The NASCAR channel, always on, always free. Only on Tubi.
Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. Todd Gordon and Steve Post, and boy, I'm telling you, our window of time with Paul Wolfe is never long enough.
No.
But boy, the insight is always deep. Wow, he can explain things so even a radio guy can understand it.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, that was, as we would call it, that's radio gold. I really think a much more in-depth vision into all that goes into tire strategies with the Indy failure there and where they were, and you don't just, to that point, you don't just chalk it up, say, oh, well, I guess I was low on air pressure. There's a bigger in-depth study working with Goodyear on this.
Yeah, for Goodyear to kind of acknowledge that doesn't seem like you were in the danger zone. Let us take a look at it and run it through our machines, run it through our simulation and everything. I love the detail there, and
but
to
the
know
piece
that goes on.
But the piece is to talk about all of the factors that could impact that.
Yeah.
That's the part. Like on the broadcast, I can tell you that on a green flag cycle, you're probably 1.5 pounds. That's the number I've used. He said 1 to 2. Okay, we're in the same ballpark. Right. But I didn't think about, okay, how hard am I whipping him, basically?
Right.
To go. How hard am I into the limiters? And when you talk about the limiters, so once you get to the limiter, the suspension's solid. And the tire's the only part that works.
There's the bumps.
Basically, the shock is internally bottomed out. That's what the limiter is. So now it's all of that. There's no more spring and dampening in the...
It's the tire.
It's the tire working it. And the fact that you're going faster in clean air. I mean, just...
God, the detail
a great explanation of why that can happen.
Yeah, so
and
good.
you don't see that failure until, like, you do damage to it, but that damage has the full run to work its way into a failure. And... Yeah, that was great stuff.
That was awesome.
And talking about what we're going to see this weekend at Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, this is always, you and I, we love our strategy races.
Yes.
We love our strategy races. It sounds like we took a race that we loved and made it even more so this weekend.
I feel like as we walk through the garage, we're going to hear from crew chiefs that they really wish we had another set of tires.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of this. And I was getting ready to ask him because he's talking about the wear level and where we can go. And I knew last year, I look back through the data, predominantly everybody two-stopped stage 2 and stage 3.
Right.
It's like 160 and 170 laps.
Yep.
Well, then he said that, well, I don't know where we're going to be on tire wear. I'm like, wait a minute, the first stage is 70. That's the longest run you have all day long on the greenest racetrack.
Run, yes.
If it goes green. Like, and
then you start doing the math.
I love it. I love it because it creates it makes opportunity for these crew chiefs to be creative.
Does someone throw the scuff on it sometime in the middle of it
1.
so that they throw
if
the
there's
scuff
a break, I think there will be a lot of scuffs put on stage
1. Exactly.
But if somebody does that, somebody will throw stickers on to try to have a little bit of advantage. I think.
And then at the end of the day, what does that math look like?
Sometime you got to pay the piper.
I will never forget a Darlington race. Carl Edwards and Darian Grubb won it by having one extra set of tires.
They would have lapped down because they didn't put tires on.
Right. We got halfway through the race. I'm walking down. I'm scouring pit road. Greg Zipadelli, what might have been competition director. I'm not sure where Greg's role is. He calls me over and he says, "Are you aware of the problem we have?" And I said, tires and that sort of thing. He says, "We're all going to be out of tires." He said, "Except for Darian down there with that." So we were ahead of it. I love these races because what happens on lap 35 may impact you on lap 350.
Yes.
Man, it's going to be awesome.
Yes.
Richmond is going to be awesome. This thing lays out really, really good.
And that's part of what why I like being at these racetracks, because you can start to see those things and explain what's coming forward, because it's got an opportunity to create a lot of heartache.
A lot of heartache, a lot of tums, a lot of antacids for the crew chiefs, and but somebody will be celebrating a big win, that's for sure, and that's the cool part about it.
What a great weekend of racing we got coming.
What a great weekend. It starts Thursday night. The NASCAR Whelen Modifieds. The Virginia is for racing lovers, 150. Our airtime is 7:30. Friday, 4:30 in the afternoon, NASCAR Cup Series, practice and qualifying. 7 o'clock Eastern time, the tough trucks of NASCAR, they're going to close down their regular season. It is the final race of the regular season, the Truck Series racing Friday night at Richmond. 6:30 is our airtime on Saturday, the Cookout 400 for the NASCAR Cup Series. Motor Racing Network going to be there all weekend long, and I can't wait. Love my modifieds, love my trucks, love my Cup Series, especially on this track. We're in for a treat this weekend, Todd.
All night racing.
All night racing. It's going to be awesome. That is for sure. He is Todd Gordon. I am Steve Post. We are grateful for you joining us, and we appreciate Paul Wolfe from Team Penske joining us as well here on Crew Call on the Motor Racing Network.